David Corn, if the president hadn't mentioned Iraq, reporters and people like you would have accused him of ducking an unpopular war that he started. So why shouldn't he?
I think he should have. I mean, he has defined 9/11 by the war in Iraq. I think years from now, historians will go back and write the history of this time, and they'll give the Afghanistan campaign a few sentences and the war in Iraq a couple of paragraphs. And so I think he should be defending that. I think the Democrats are right that they don't get enough attention, but that's always the case with the minority party. But the issue is the journalists should zero in on his charge that it was a clear threat. That's the issue at hand.
Have journalists become skeptical, if not hostile, toward President Bush?
The president and the vice president had a chance to prove to the public and the world that when they tell us things, they basically get it right. But everything they said about the war in Iraq, the connections between Saddam and al-Qaeda and Saddam's WMDs, proved out to be wrong. Everything that Donald Rumsfeld has said about the war in Iraq in terms of how it would go has proven to be wrong. So I think anytime they tell us anything, the media is right to say, given your record, prove it. What do you mean?
David Corn, so you reveal that Armitage was the other leaker in this Plame case, and he's not part of the White House cabal, and the press kind of yawns and I think loses interest. Why?
Well, I think there's been a good job from the opposition here in terms of the Bush defenders by pointing to this disclosure in our book and say that makes everything go away, that Karl Rove wasn't involved. The book that I co-wrote with Mike Isikoff shows that at the same time Armitage was speaking to Bob Novak, Karl Rove, Scooter Libby, and others in the White House were actively plotting as well to undermine Joe Wilson. And of course, as already been revealed, were leaking the same information to other reporters. So there was really a two-track process going here. And, you know, Armitage has come forward and disclosed what he's done. Karl Rove still hasn't. And the White House that once vowed to fire anyone involved in the leak still hasn't done anything.
As you know, Robert Novak went on C-SPAN on Friday and took a shot at you. Let's play that for the audience and get your response.
Mr. Corn is a nasty piece of work, let me tell you that. And he was the one who really built this story up. He is in a, what I think is a deliciously ironic situation, because he was one of the people, much more, I believe, than Chris Matthews, for building the story up at the outset. He was, as I said, he was advising Joe Wilson, which he never puts in his column.
Go ahead.
Well, that's not true. I was never advising Joe Wilson. And in that same interview, he called me a left-wing ideologue. Being called an ideologue by Bob Novak is like being called a cheat by Jack Abramoff. I mean, he's the last one to talk. And I think he's mad because this past week I pointed out that 3 years ago he wrote a column saying the leak was a offhand revelation. This week he wrote a column saying it was a deliberate act. So Bob Novak has an argument with Bob Novak.